Welcome to episode 15 of the One Day at a Time podcast. I'm your host, Sanjana, and I'm a mindset coach. I help women across the globe to create a life which is in alignment with their true selves without feeling overwhelmed. Hello, everyone. I am excited to introduce you guys to Laura. Laura is a life coach, yoga teacher, and a freelance editor who is inspiring and educating thousands of people to go abroad and live a life they love through her YouTube channel, podcast, and also her online coaching program. Welcome, Laura. I hope I haven't missed out anything from your introduction.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on your show. It's just amazing to see like that you have your own podcast now. I remember when we like talked about like you
Yeah.
started your blog and blogging more consistently, and now you're like a mindset coach, and it's amazing. Oh, it's so exciting.
Yeah, it opened up so many avenues for me once, we had our coaching program. Like when I got coached by you last year, I was at a very different place and it was all, confusing and stuff. But coaching with you opened up a lot of avenues. And I'm so happy today, like, fast forward 1 year to see
Yeah.
how you have grown your coaching and, all the other skills that you have. You started your own coaching program, you have your online membership, and now you are a yoga teacher as well.
Yeah.
So I let's get started with this. There are so many opportunities, especially the ones that have been created in the last 10 years or so. Like, how exactly did you figure out what you wanted to do?
I mean, I do so many things. I still
Mm-hmm.
now actually was thinking that earlier when I was like planning my week. Like I have
Yeah.
so many things I'm doing, so many projects, but I think I've always been like very multi-passionate, and I think that's always
Mm-hmm.
gonna stay like this. So
Yeah.
how I figured out what I want to do was by just trying out things. First, like 3 years ago now, over 3 years ago, I started with social media management, clients there. Then I went into like personal branding, YouTube strategy. Didn't really like that. All along, I always did my YouTube. That's where everything started, like my blog. I don't blog anymore, but I don't use it anymore. But my YouTube channel was like always there. I always wanted to
Mm-hmm.
create content and just share my life. And then the different avenues of like um, my ebook, my membership,
Mm-hmm.
life coaching, yoga classes, and then my freelance stuff. That just
Yeah.
all, I don't know, like I either saw someone else doing it and I was like, oh, I might like that. And I just
Yeah.
tried it. So yeah, that's kind of my approach. I think I'm really good at just taking action. I don't think about it that much, but that is also something I'm like really always forcing myself to do because it's so easy to always think about it and weigh, oh, I first need to figure out blah blah. But yeah, what I really learned is the only way to figure out what you want to do is by like doing it.
And there's a lot of fear associated with action, right? Walk me through your mindset. How exactly, like, what's your process before you take action? I know you said that you're really swift in it, and it's very important to be that way in order to figure out what you want to do. But like, what goes on in your mindset at that point in time?
That's such a good question. Well, I can just give you the example, maybe what I'm working through right now, which is I
Mm-hmm.
want to launch. I've been forever wanting to launch like a online course, a group coaching program, like a longer life coaching that's like really intense with like weekly group coaching calls and weekly
Yeah.
modules and all of that stuff, right? And I had this huge limiting belief that I was like, I don't have a big enough audience yet. I'm not ready yet. I should
Mhm.
focus on what I already have and blah, blah, blah. And, that is a fear, of course, is like the fear of not being good enough yet and not
Yeah.
being ready yet. And so what I then realized though is, well, basically what I ask myself all the time is what's like the vision that I have? Where do I want to
Mm-hmm.
go? For me, my business vision has always been like, I want to have this big a business with lots of like
Yeah.
online courses and programs and ebooks and like
Yeah.
lots of like different things, just a library of just education that really just inspires you, right? Like I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
something to do. And I realized, like, well, when do I want to start with that if not now? I just have to start in order to get to where I want to be, right? It will not happen if I don't take action. And I think that's kind of like, I just tell myself, okay, well, what happens if I don't take action? And the answer here is simple. I will never ever have the business that I want to have. Don't start. And then I also always like think about, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? What's like my fear? The big fear that we all have if we put ourselves out there is, okay, I put myself out there, then no one buys. And then I kind of shifted in my mind. And I've done that recently, and I realized that failure actually gets you to success a lot faster, because you realize that, well, the way I did that doesn't work. I will do something else, and then that's going to work. But you can never find what's going to work if you don't try it out. Yes, you can maybe read books, listen to podcasts, take a business course, guarantee that this is going to work for your audience, for where you're at in your business, for your niche. Like really, only you can figure that out. So I guess that's kind of the process I always go through. It's obviously really being aware of my own fears, which I know I've done so much mindset work myself for so many years in this world. Then, you know, having a coach like you or being part of a membership, as you kind of get external people to tell you the truth. Friends, they won't tell you, well, you're just afraid of failing. They probably won't tell you that. They're like, oh, it's okay. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But a coach is going to be like, well, where does that come from? Is that true?
Yeah,
No.
there's a lot goes on in like digging through all the surface level thoughts and really extracting what's that underlying fear. It's usually not the ones that we know of in the beginning. It's something else. Yeah, that's a great practice. And did you ever have the fear of spreading yourself too thin by trying out different things and not being able to focus on one?
Yes, absolutely. Like I constantly feel like I'm not giving 100% anywhere. I could be better at whatever I'm doing. And I felt like this for so long that I now accepted it as something that's totally okay, you know, because I actually realized just from experience that even my, I don't know, 80% are completely enough to get my results. And that's really, I think it's the standard that you set upon yourself and kind of really owning what you want to do. One, do several things. I tried just doing one, it doesn't work, I don't want to do it. So I'm totally okay with maybe building several things at the same time. It might not get as fast as if I just focus on one thing. It's fine with me, because that's the standard I set towards myself. I'm not saying that, you know, that's the best way to do it, but I decide what I do, and I'm just owning that, if that makes sense. Absolutely get that. Then I'm sometimes like, oh, I feel so like there, and it's also overwhelming. I love it as well. Like, I love it. I love doing it. Yeah, I think it's just, again, about getting to know yourself, and you can only get to know yourself if you try it, right? I was also it's so funny that you asked me that, because I was also thinking about it today, how like for such a long time in the beginning of my business, I tried to find my niche, my one thing, my one-liner, I help, blah, blah. And I can do that. Like, I can give you a one-liner for my Girls Abroad membership. I can give you a one-liner for my YouTube channel. I can give you one-liner for my yoga, but not one-liner for me as a person. And I spent so much time obsessing about that, because I was like, I looked around and everyone was apparently just doing their one thing. You know, they were like a business coach, or they were, I don't know, a health coach, you know? And I was like, I'm so many things. Yeah, but I honestly realized that it works too. I think you really have to be the person to do so many things at the same time. That makes sense.
Yeah. You know, it was very interesting that you brought up this topic, because that was something that I learned from you as well, that you need not just, you know, what all the business coaches say, that, oh, find out your niche and, you know, get into that. That is good. It works in terms of marketing, in terms of increasing your sales and all that. But what about like we living? You know, are we happy with it? Are we happy just going down one route, you know, recognizing what other things that we want to do? And I noticed like how you were trying to keep your different avenues separate but at the same time tied together. And I started implementing the same thing as well. Here, I coach women, and on the other side, I even do tarot readings. So I keep these two things separate, and I have figured out a way to kind of combine it, but it's nice to keep it separate. I found a great sense of comfort that I am not ignoring people who need help. I have, instead of looking at it like, oh, there are too many things that I am trying to do and I'm not giving myself 100%, the way I'm looking at it is, oh, I can help this kind of a person as well as the other kind of a person.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like a good way of thinking about it. And yeah, I think when it comes to niche, if you're a personal brand like you and I don't think we have to put us as a person into a niche,
Right.
but rather in order to obviously, know what our target market is, what are their pain, pleasure points, all of those things. What's the message? That is important. And I think for each revenue stream or product or whatever it is, it's good to have a niche there. Yes. Like I think the reason why my YouTube channel, for example, really grew was because I was in that niche of study abroad, moving abroad. The thing that you're doing within your project, it's important to have a niche, but you can have several. And it doesn't mean that only you have to be one niche. Just,
Right.
you don't put yourself into a box. And yeah, and you can stack up your projects. Like, yes, you can get started with one, and then maybe eventually you can add another one and another one once it feels like, once you're ready and you can see that one thing is like really working. But yeah, I wouldn't try to limit you as a person to just one you want to do.
Tell me about, like, the whole notion of trying to fit in or following a template. Anywhere we go, this is the kind of world that we live in. We already have a set template. Oh, you have to graduate, then you have to get a good job. Or if you're wanting to start a business, have a niche, start it. There are these templates which would help us guide, but what if it's trying to mold us into something that we don't want to be? I mean, getting a job is nice. I was at a job for around 6 years. It was really nice, but only towards the end, I realized that this is not something that I can do for a longer period of time, or that I want to do for a longer period of time, even if I can. How do you deal with, societal standards? Do you feel like whatever other path you're choosing, is that the right one, or those kind of fears, and how do you deal with
I
that?
think I think this is luckily something that right now I don't think I struggle with anymore, but definitely when I was still in university and I got started with my business, because that is where I was the minority. Almost everyone around me, they were going after like internships at like marketing companies, and they were building their CVs and get this like really successful role in PR marketing. When I chose my internship, I was like, I don't even want to apply for like a big brand. I want to work in a small startup agency because I want to work in a small business. I want to have that startup spirit. And of course, then I still compared myself to people who worked for like big brand names. Didn't say that. But the thing is, I didn't want that because I never wanted to then work for that brand. But still, you do compare yourself if you're always surrounded by people who are doing else. I think that's kind of normal, especially if you're not yet totally confident in your own path and you do not have anyone who's also doing something similar to what you're doing. It really, really started to shift once I really started identifying myself as an entrepreneur, and even a multi-passionate entrepreneur, a content creator. Yeah, that is really when it started to change. I think what really helps me now is that I do surround myself only with people who support what I'm doing. I know it's a privilege. Like, even my family is really supportive, and I know not a lot of people have that privilege. But I honestly, if I compare I like to call it tribe, compare my tribe, one that I had 3 years ago when I started my business, oh my God, that was like, it's a completely different dimension. Like, now I surround myself with people who are also entrepreneurs, who are influencers. Like, one of my best friends, she's an influencer. She does like brand collaborations, lots of entrepreneurial friends, and even the in my life who are not entrepreneurs, because I do also have a lot of non-entrepreneur friends. They're they have this mindset of, they still do personal, like one of my other best friends, she is studying to become a teacher, but she still does a lot of personal development, for example, right? And she's
Yeah.
like creating her life really intentionally and all of those things. So I think a big one here is make sure that you surround yourself with people who don't push you into this comparison mode. Work on your own confidence in order not to fall into this comparison mode. Because as you said, even then in business, you can then start to look left and right. Am I doing this right? They're doing, and I think that never goes away, to be honest, because it is still important that we do look around in order to grow, right? To learn from
Yeah.
others. So much to learn. But yeah, also when it comes to courses and blueprints, and I still like taking like I'm currently doing like a free challenge of someone for like building your coaching business and stuff like that. She's doing
Yeah.
a lot of like print stuff, and I'm like, interesting. Like I still consume that, and then I just take I just take what resonates with me from it. So I never say, oh no, like leave me alone, don't give me any advice,
Yeah.
or don't give blueprint. But I also think, and that's a big one, was one blueprint to success, everyone would have it and everyone would be successful. So even if someone is selling you like a blueprint, this is 100% going to work for everyone, like
Yeah.
that's not.
Yeah. I use something called as self values in order to make sure that whatever decisions that I make are kind of in alignment with what I want to do, who I want to be, and who I am. That's something I feel has protected me from getting influenced, because even now, even though I am, I have clarity, I am aware of what I want to do, and I've made some major decisions in the last few years. Even now currently I'm in my final year of at uni, and I see some people talking about, in generally in group projects and stuff, they're talking about interviews, companies that they're applying to. And there is a part of me which, where I fear, oh my God, like everyone are doing that. Am I, by trying to do something else, is that the right thing? Then I just remind myself of my values and what kind of life I want to carve out for myself. And I just bring myself back to that state of mind, being like, no, it's a conscious decision that I don't want to go down that path. And just reminding myself again and again. Yeah, I think one of the misconceptions that I had, like before, when I started personal development work, was, oh, I can fix this. But I don't think we can, no matter how clear you are. I think these kind of self-doubt thoughts keep coming up, but it's, what matters is what personal development and what mindset work teaches you is how to deal with those thoughts, not exactly like how to stop them from coming.
Yeah, exactly, totally agree with that.
Yeah. And you told me that your parents were very supportive, in all the decisions that you made. And I'm lucky as well to have a family who kind of is open to, listening and support me with whatever it is that I want to do. How did your parents react in the beginning when you said, because you moved, I think you were 18 when you moved out of the country to, in order to, create a life which involves like working in another country for a really big company. And then you told them, no, this is not what you want to do. You want to have your own business where you can work from home and stuff. So how did they react to it?
Yeah, well, I think I was always someone like very confident, and I think my parents also know that I can take care of myself. Like they know I'm smart, I'm capable. So yeah, like of course they were like scared that I'm gonna go abroad by myself. My mom was totally scared, but like they didn't say, "Oh my God, yes, it's the best decision. Like do it and go there." And they were more like, okay, if that's what you want to do, we're going to support you in this. Yeah, but I think because also I was like, I'm going to do this. I need to do this. This is like my path. I think this confidence really kind of affects like other people. But yeah, in terms of starting my business, I don't know actually, because I think my parents just always trusted me that whatever I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do was going to work and I'm going to do well, and that I know best what I want to do. And in the beginning, they obviously didn't really understand like what my business was. I mean, I didn't really know what my business was either.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I always shared with them, like if I had any wins. Piece of advice, by the way, I was talking about that with a friend recently. If you talk about even spirituality or mindset or business with someone not at all in that world, really, really helps to kind of try to communicate it in a way that they understand. Don't immediately throw like all the really crazy spiritual concepts and blah, blah, blah at them and, wanting them to understand, but more kind of share with them. And, that's what I did with my business. Like I didn't tell them the in and outs of business and how much money I spent on like business courses and
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But I said, yeah, like I have like a new client and it's going really well. And, look how much I get paid. Like I did tell them that because I was really
Yeah.
proud of them, right? And they were proud too. And, whenever I got to a certain number of subscribers to my YouTube channel, that's what they understood. So
Yeah.
I always try to communicate everything that I do to my parents in a way that they understand it, right? Because what we need to understand is they don't yet have the perspective that you
Yeah.
have. They
Right.
grew up completely different. They have complete different beliefs. They maybe
Yeah.
didn't have the opportunities that we have now. So if you come at them with your mindset, it won't like align in terms of communication. I think that's really effective to come into communication, into conversations with like compassion and kind of understanding how might they feel about this and how can I talk to them on that level, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I remember first time when I spoke to my mom about me moving to another country, what I expected. I knew that initially she wouldn't be open to it. But when I explained to her exactly what it is that I want to do and where it might lead me, and also I spoke to her about what would happen if it doesn't work out. If it doesn't work out, what am I going to do then? I think that really helped her to understand and realize this is not an impulsive decision. And seeing, what exactly we are going through and how we are dealing with it, I think that helped my mom especially to realize that, oh yeah, like she can take care of herself, and she is thinking and making the decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. It's all about, I mean, maybe it's not all about it, because if you have parents who like are really far away from trusting
Yeah.
your decisions, maybe you can communicate as much as you want.
Yeah.
But at least, as you said, try that way. Yes.
Right. Yeah. And how important, in your opinion, is living in alignment with yourself, like really following your dreams and kind of carving out a life is that's on your terms and not what society has been telling you or other things? How important is it?
I mean, like, I think that's what life is about. Like, that's
Yeah.
why we're here. Um, my biggest fear in life,
Mhm.
I've always had this, is like being old and
Yeah.
looking back on my life, or general, I mean, actually not just being old, but generally looking back on something in my life and thinking,
Mhm.
oh, I should have done that, could have done that better, or why didn't I do that? Why was I not taking action because I'm scared or I was scared? It's like, I do not ever want to feel that way. And so far, I have always made decisions like where I can look back and say, wow, I did it. I'm glad I did. And let me tell you, this is hard though.
True.
In the
Yeah.
moment, it's so much easier to just do the comfortable, right? Because oftentimes, if we, want to live our truth, follow our dreams, live in alignment, that always requires us to, step outside your comfort zone, to do the uncomfortable. Starting a business, moving abroad, all of that, it's not easy. It's not the easy path. So you do have to be aware of that, right? But to me, like, my fear of regret was always bigger than my fear of the uncomfortable. I think one of the best examples that currently, I'm working through in my life is, or I worked through, was like leaving relationships that are not
Mm-hmm.
longer in alignment, because in the moment you're like really holding on to the comfortable. You like, because it's so scary, like you don't know what's coming after, and you just want to stay in the comfortable. Maybe the same in living in your home country or
Yeah.
staying at that job, right? But then again, I asked myself, I'm like, what if in like 10 years or 20 or 30 or 40, still with that person, and I'm thinking, no, it's not the right thing. You
Mm.
cannot sacrifice your life for one moment of discomfort, right? Leaving that person or going abroad, like actually making the move and doing one moment in your life. It's so small, but what you get from that is like huge. That's what's like, oh my God, like I couldn't imagine living a life that's not in alignment.
True. And what inspired me was it was from a movie, and it was about this around like 25-year-old girl who, who wanted to go on a trip alone, like who wanted to go on a solo trip, and her parents were not agreeing to it. And they were like, oh, what if something goes wrong? Or what if that works out? This doesn't work out. And she said something, it was towards the end of the movie, comparing to not just the solo trip but the other things in her life as well. And she
Mm.
said, later in life, if I look back and see, and in case things haven't worked out the way I expected it to be and things went bad, at least I know it was all because of me and not because someone else did that to me, or I let someone else do that to me. And I think that caught on like really strong with me. I decided that no, like whatever happens, I want to make sure that I was the one who, was mindful about making those decisions. And blaming blaming others for your life is not something that I wanted to do. And I don't
Yeah.
think that gives a great comfort as well. it's
Yeah.
it's not a good situation to be in.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we give our power away, blame, if we give responsibility to others, like we have to make the decision for ourselves. And whatever that decision is,
Yeah.
maybe you intentionally say, I want to stay at home. I
Mhm.
want to work 9 to 5. I want to
Yeah.
stay with this person. As long as it's intentional and you can, at peace with 100% certainty, say that this comes from my truth, from my intuition,
Yeah.
not from my ego, not from fear, but I choose this. It's all good. That's what you
Yeah.
have to choose, like even if you're listening right now and you're like, well, I don't know about that moving abroad or blah, it doesn't matter. You, like, as you said, you have to intentionally make the decision for
Ye-
yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And even when I graduated, like from my bachelor's, I was so keen on having a full-time 9 to 5 corporate job. And I achieved that. I was very happy for, I worked for 6 years. I was very happy for the first 5 years. It was only during the end, like I had some life experiences which made me question things and see that, okay, is this what I want to do? Like, do I see myself working here longer? Because it it made me miserable, and I noticed that even I wasn't able to give my 100% to the job, and that was unfair, even for the company, even for the team
Mhm.
that I was in. It's just a situation where no one is happy, and that's when I decided, okay, what it is that I want to do. And I pulled out like my vision board, all the things that I had created, and sat and reworked on it and saw, okay, now what? Like, what is it
Yeah.
that I want? And then it was very important for me to live outside my usual setting. Like, I was born in that place, I was grown up there, and I studied, I went to job, everything was surrounded by like same people, same atmosphere. And it was very important for me to like get out of that, learn exactly like who am I
Mm.
outside my country, outside my city, outside my job. Because when someone asks you to introduce yourselves, you say that, our nationality, the city that we are from, what do we like, where do we work, and what do we work as. But outside all that, who are you really? That's something that came up when I started doing some work, like to see what next. I knew that, okay, I don't want to work here, but what next? What is it that I want to do? And then it came out that, okay, I just want to come out of that, setting, and live for some time to figure out what I want to do.
Yeah, that's so powerful. Like
Yeah.
leaving your bubble and just, yeah, stepping outside your comfort zone. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, now what? Like it gives you so much power though, because
Yeah.
oftentimes you let go of like the old stuff, you let go of your maybe old friends or your
Mm-hmm.
hometown, your old job, whatever. And then you're like, I have so many opportunities, so many paths, and that's really empowering. Yeah, but
Yeah.
first, again, we have to go through that discomfort.
But yeah, that's what I said this story because there is this notion in the online world that, oh, quit your 9 to 5 job, like that's not a good lifestyle or something. But I want to say that if that is something that you want to do, then that's right for you, because I was very happy at when I was working, when that is something that I wanted to do, I was very happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, our truth, our alignment changes all the
Mm-hmm.
time. Like we
Yeah.
always have to realign again.
Yeah.
Never stays the same.
Yeah. And what tools did you use? Like what helped you to realize this thing that, okay, I don't want to like have a job. I want to do something else and I want to learn about this. Like what tools did like helped you?
I mean, I guess it's not a tool, but I think the biggest thing
Mm-hmm.
is following and surrounding myself with people who did something else, didn't do the traditional. Because obviously, if you don't see it, you oftentimes can't create it either. And luckily, if you're listening right now to this podcast, you have like lots of inspiration, or, I think nowadays we do have access to like almost everyone, right? So we can
Mm-hmm.
actually pick and see, oh, what they're doing is interesting, but I think for me, yes. So first of all, finding role models. I always have role models, not to copy them, but to see
Mm-hmm.
what's possible. Because I'm like, they can do it, then there must be a way. But I mean, like, I'm the biggest believer in journaling, visualization. I
Yeah.
think actually I'm now even more drawn towards guided meditation, hypnosis, and visualization to get
Mm-hmm.
answers. I love journaling for like reflecting and for really getting into detail.
Yeah.
But some of the most crazy answers and crazy results I have seen personally from visualization, from like
Mm-hmm.
stepping into the 2.0 version of myself who already is there, who knows the answers, or talking to my future self, whatever. That's
Yeah.
where like I've gotten like mind blowing, like just results.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, journaling, I love though as well, to really get clear on like, oh, if I could have anything that I
Mm-hmm.
wanted in my life, $50 million in the bank, I could do anything. What do I want to do in my life? How am I spending my days? Who am I? What do I wear? What do I
Mm-hmm.
eat? I don't know. Who do I surround myself with? Stuff
Yeah.
like that. I love journaling for that. And yeah, I think that's those are like the big ones. So like
Yeah.
people, journaling, visualization, meditation, blah blah blah. And yeah, always learning, always growing. And I think you're the same. Like we're just
Mm-hmm.
lifelong learners. Like I
Yeah.
love certifications, courses, podcasts, and constantly consuming new information also from different perspectives about different
Mm-hmm.
topics. When you're just gonna find it out eventually.
Yeah. Just
Like
keep
there's no
trying.
other way and
Yeah.
not to find it out.
I think like if you have to compare speed, I feel journaling and meditations are really good in
Yeah.
terms of like removing yourself from distractions and making sure you concentrate on your thoughts. Yeah, journaling has helped me as well quite a bit. And what do you think would happen if you are not living in alignment with yourself? I know one of the things that you said was regrets,
Mhm.
like in the future. What else might happen if you don't live in alignment with yourself?
Well, what happens is that
Mm-hmm.
you do not have the energy, space, the
Mm-hmm.
time for
Mm-hmm.
what you actually want to do.
Yeah.
Because, and I can say that from like experience of like last year,
Mm-hmm.
when I was really going through like very negative, dark, not great times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had no energy. I had no energy. Like I could maybe, and I'm not saying right now like this is how much you should work or shouldn't, but just
Yeah.
like for my now I can easily in a day work like 7-8 hours on my business, right?
Yeah.
Which for me is a lot because I work like very efficiently, very productively. I could never ever work 12 hours a day or something. I
Yeah.
just can't, right? But just like as a comparison, back then I was absolutely dead after 3 hours of working per day. Like I was proud if I could work more than that,
Yeah.
because outside, so my business, my passion projects, all of that, was almost too much because all of my energy was drained from just everything outside, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it's so heartbreaking because it's like you're not meant to live through this pain. You're meant to, do those passion projects. You're meant to follow your dreams and build something amazing. All of this negative, just junk is so distracting if you're not living in alignment with your truth, right? And if you're
Yeah.
constantly running away from it and being afraid to let go, to release, it's just so draining. And I think it's a big sign. Like if you are really, I don't know, if you're really stressed, burned out, I'm not talking like I even now, when I'm super happy doing everything that I do,
Yeah.
I still get stressed. I still get overwhelmed. I have days where I just can't concentrate. But I mean like a long-term thing. Like if
Yeah.
over months you can feel that the smallest thing that happens just makes you break down, makes you cry, makes you just, then there's something really wrong, that there's something in your life that is not in alignment, right? Because like
Yeah.
ups and downs are very normal. That's life,
Right.
especially now in today's world, with we do
True.
have some negative external influences. It's normal. But I'm saying that when you live in alignment, whatever you do is energy. It gives you, like, you receive so much. You give, but then it never feels like it's draining you and you're not getting anything back. I think that's a really good, with you can apply this to anything, to work, to places that you like stay at, to people, especially to people, if you have like incredible friends, like
Yeah.
I would never be afraid with my friends to give them advice or to, I don't know, put an effort, because I know that it always comes back to me. It makes me feel good to give, right? But if there is stuff in your life, again, jobs, people, and you just give and give and give and nothing comes back, and it's so draining. If you live in alignment, it's always gonna be in balance. It's always gonna come back. So yeah, I think that's what happens. Like you get drained, and it's not sustainable either. It's not a great way to live. You can maybe do that for like, I don't know, a few months, a year, 2, 3, but then it
Yeah.
just, you're not really being the person that you are meant to be
Yeah.
and that you want to be either.
Right. Yeah. And I learned this concept last year. It's called the return of emotion. So, seeing,
Mm.
when you're investing your time, your resources, and your efforts into some task, or you're just working on some of your goals, like what's that return of emotion that you're getting? What type of emotion are you experiencing once you do all that work? And depending on that, it's very easy to recognize, okay, is this the right thing? Like, is this meant for me, or am I going on the right path?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's such a good concept. I've never heard of that, but oh my God, I can so relate to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and oftentimes it's like in the moments, we often don't, like, we aren't as reflected as we wish we would be. And sometimes we make excuses. We
Yeah.
make excuses for staying in a situation,
Right.
country, in a job, with a person. And we don't, it, but then I also think that we will one day know. One day something happens and it's like your scale inside of
Yeah.
you tips and you're
Yeah.
like, I'm done with this. I have to
True.
move now. I have to quit that job now. I have to
Yeah.
leave that person now. I have to start this business now. Like one day it's going to be enough. And I think, we can work towards that. We can make it a bit faster, like that we
Yeah.
feel ready enough. Mindset work and having a coach that really, really helps to kind of
Yeah.
push you towards your truth. But
Yeah.
I also think we all have just like knowledge inside where we're like even if you're listening right now and when we talk about something like that, maybe in your head there's always something like, already something like,
Yeah.
maybe really I should not do this, or I really
Yeah.
should let this go to be
Yeah.
more myself and more alignment. I think we do know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Intuition. Like,
honestly, during the last 2 months of
mhm.
yoga teacher training, right, when we did so much like yoga, meditation, and really connecting with yourself, you cannot even ignore your gut
Right.
anymore.
Right.
Like, you just
Yeah.
have to move into alignment, because staying out of alignment feels like a crime. It feels like really just like
Mm-hmm.
I need to move into
True.
alignment.
Yeah.
But you have to connect with yourself for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's say someone who has realized that they're not living in alignment with their true selves and they want to do something. What's one advice you would like to give to that person?
Oh my God. It's hard to just say one advice.
Go with it. Like, what's the advices you'd like to give?
Well, the first thing is tribe. You
Mhm.
have to look who you are surrounding yourself with. If there are people in your life that, I know it sounds bad, but you can't get rid of, that are negatively
Mhm.
influencing you, like your family. Maybe you live still at home with your parents and you're like, well,
Yeah.
how am I supposed to get rid of my parents? I live with them. But where can you draw new people into your life that you can
Mhm.
then refer to instead of relying on your parents or anyone else? Can you get someone who really empowers you to live in alignment with your truth?
Mhm.
Maybe that is a membership, coaching, friends, and
Yeah.
going to, I mean, now, going to networking events online or something like that, right? To just have like a breath of fresh air sometimes,
Mhm.
when
Yeah.
you're like in this negativity and all the limiting beliefs everywhere, then just even chatting with someone for like an hour on a
Mhm.
call or something is like, I can do this. I can do this. I don't have
Yeah.
to believe in this negative narrative, right?
Right.
So yeah, I think that's my one piece of advice, to be really knowing that you do not have to do this alone. No one of us does it
Yeah.
alone. Don't have to either. And there are so many tools, especially on social media online, that can help
Mhm.
you. Like, even, I started hanging out in free Facebook groups for like digital nomads. That's
Yeah.
how I first got in contact with people who were living this really unconventional life.
Mhm.
I didn't like make friends with them immediately, but I read their posts, I watched their live
Right.
streams, I commented. And even that counts as surrounding yourself with those people.
True.
I have such strong boundaries with people in my real life and offline and
Mhm.
online. I'm like, don't kill my vibe.
Yeah. And especially now, like, there are so many online communities that you can tap into. That's really nice as well. And so, like, yeah, tell us about where the listeners can reach you if they're interested to talk to you and they want to have a conversation with you. How can they reach you?
Yeah, well, I think if you actually want to talk to like me, then like DM me on Instagram. So I mean,
Mhm.
my surname is a bit complicated, so maybe you could check out the show
I'll
notes.
Yeah, I will leave a link to it. Yeah.
So my Instagram, you can send me a DM. Other than that, if you just want to follow my life, if you want to get to know a bit more about my life abroad, about what I'm doing now, if you want to just get an insight into my life, then my YouTube channel is for sure a good way to find me. And yeah, and then I also, if you want to be part of, a support community, then my membership Girls Abroad would be an option for you.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a free Facebook, like if you're actually interested in studying abroad, if that's something you'd be interested in, I also have a free Facebook group. It's called Girls Study Abroad. And yeah, but I think if you actually want to talk to me,
Mm-hmm.
then you can message me on Instagram, and then we can chat if, we want to work together, or just chat, or yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to quickly mention that the Girls Study Abroad Facebook group that you spoke about, that helped me to narrow down my university choices when I was moving here, when I decided to move here.
Oh,
So,
amazing.
yeah, I just want to mention that if any one of you who's listening are thinking about moving abroad and want some really great advice, that group is really good. People who are actually studying abroad will let you know about the country that they're currently in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a helpful resource.
Yeah.
Like, so like I'm not even in there that much. I don't even post that much. It's just like people always helping each
Yeah.
other. And it's like I just see the posts I like approve, and then I like go back, and then like an hour later there are like 10 comments, and everyone is like,
Right.
oh, I have advice here and tips there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really amazing.
Yeah.
Community, again, we
Yeah,
just talked
true.
about it.
Awesome. So I am so happy. I'm so glad that we got a chance to sit together and talk like this. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your insights and all of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was awesome. You said you asked amazing questions. You're such a great
Hmm.
interviewer.
Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll chat outside the podcast and be in touch on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you so much. It was
Awesome.
awesome. Such a good interview.